Hello there, Wixman Ray. Hey, welcome to Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. Hopefully that I got my air conditioner on up there. Hopefully it's not interfering with my audio. If it is, I'll have to start this over again, but we'll see how this goes. So, hey, welcome to Tuesday, another edition of our weather update here. I appreciate y'all being here if you're listening, and please subscribe. Anyways, looking at the weather, got a couple systems going on here. It's trying to get a little more active, and that's going to kind of be the theme as we go through the week. A little more active, especially when we're coming to thunderstorms and severe thunderstorms. As we get later in the week, we'll see more severe weather chances. So with this thunderstorms. So out west here, we've got this. Low pressure still spinning offshore there. That's fixing to come on shore here over the next day or two, bringing a bunch of rain, a little bit of thunderstorms too here and there to parts of western Nevada into California and even up into Oregon. A little bit of rain, showers up into Washington. Um, Back here in these clouds here in Utah up through Montana, that's not really producing any kind of weather other than clouds, so no precipitation that I saw coming out of it. Out here over Colorado and New Mexico, there's a few little showers. Looks like maybe a couple thunderstorms out in the eastern side of New Mexico there. And then out in Texas, we got a couple rogue thunderstorms out in West Texas here, kind of the southwest part of the state. And then we got all this cloud cover and this activity. We got quite a bit of rain and even some embedded thunderstorms here and there in this activity over Texas. It's a little bit into Oklahoma, even kind of skimming parts of southern Arkansas and into Louisiana. I think farther east, this is just some clouds, not much precipitation. Last but not least, we got this little kind of a weak um, front, cold front type system coming down. Back through this area, parts of New York, and I think a little bit in Pennsylvania. That's some rain showers. These are more thunderstorms. There's some rain showers in there too, from like say Illinois into Michigan, Indiana, and northern Ohio. So yeah, so that's basically what's going on. No activity over Florida today, so it's kind of quiet there. That may change as we go later in the week. At least a few more thunderstorms might pop up, but we'll take a look and see what the latest model forecast shows for down there. If you're staying out in South Florida before the heat lamps come on down there, I'm sure it's already getting pretty warm down there. All right, so we'll start up here in the Northeast since we're over here. Still a bit cool. Like I said, it's going to stay cool out here in the Northeast. Maine's in the upper 30s, some 40s and 50s. Head south, 44 in Boston, 51 in Syracuse. There's some rain out there between Buffalo and Syracuse, and a little bit into Pennsylvania, albeit really light. Um, this little bit of activity up here in Canada, this will probably move up into parts of Maine and you know look the northern part of the Northeast up here as we go into the next 24 hours or so. Not sure if it'll make it up there tonight, but definitely by tomorrow we should see the effects. Um, so yeah, we're seeing these showers and thunderstorms kind of from. Let's zoom in here. They're real isolated as you get into farther to the west and in Illinois, but yeah, from about now what is this, Kankakee or just south of Kankakee, Illinois. I know a little bit about this area. Actually, just a quick thing. I lived out in Champaign, Rantoul area. Well, actually, Rantoul. Champaign was south of there when I went to weather school for the Air Force many moons ago, back in, what was that, 1990, 91? Yeah, 90 and 91, about 35 years ago, 36 years ago. So that's been a while. They used to have an Air Force base there where they did a lot of the training for weather and for other things. Now they train them down in Biloxi, down at Keesler Air Force Base. I just call it Biloxi, but because that's the town right outside the base down there. That's down in the Gulf Coast, if you didn't know where that's at. Anyway, so showers and thunderstorms across northern Indiana. They're starting to pretty much exit. There's a few showers left in Michigan, but most of it's kind of moving out of that area and then to northern parts of Ohio. So a lot of that's just rain, but there's definitely some thunderstorms, especially as you get farther west. So they were reporting some lightning at Kankakee there in Illinois. So as we head south, lots of 70s, a little bit breezy too out ahead of this front. Looks like gusting up to 30 to 40 miles an hour. So a little bit breezy out here across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. Still a little bit cool into Virginia and the Carolina, North Carolina, anyways, in the 60s. So rather, for me, 60s is a rather pleasant day. I love 60s, even 70s, as long as it's not getting too humid. But yeah, we got 70s pretty much all throughout the southeast. Mid to upper 70s, a few 80s as you get farther south, but not too common. Let's see, at Dothan, Alabama is at 81. That's the warmest I've seen. Most of them are a little bit cooler. 70s down in Florida, they're getting a little bit of an east wind, about 20, 25 miles per hour, a little bit stronger around Miami, about 30 miles an hour there. And then as we head towards Louisiana and Arkansas, we're seeing that rain pop up. Not really looking at much thunderstorms there, just from the looks of it. It just looks like mostly rain and rain showers. Up into Texas, there might be some lightning associated with this stuff. But yeah, so kind of a coolish day for these parts in the 60s. There's some 50s up in southern Oklahoma. They're getting a little bit of rain out there. But yeah, all through Texas, kind of cool. Some lingering rain at San Antonio at 63. So that's kind of cool weather for them. I love it. I love that kind of temperature. And then we got some of these showers out here. It looks like a thunderstorm. Look at a severe thunderstorm warning out here. This is way back there between, that's what, Marfa, Texas, I think. Yeah, Marfa. And so out there, I don't know, probably not too, maybe somebody's out there. I don't know if that's near the oil fields out there. I'm not real familiar with that part of Texas. But yeah, so some showers and storms. Those extend up into eastern New Mexico. Looks like one near Clovis, or that's Carlsbad, actually, sorry. And then looks like the aliens might be getting some showers there near Roswell. I like to call it that. They're big on their aliens. Looks like some real widely scattered to isolated showers over New Mexico. Probably not a lot of lightning with that. Same thing up into Colorado. A few showers, mostly in the 70s though. A few 80s down into southern New Mexico. Even Albuquerque's 80. So El Paso 87, getting warm. 94 out in Phoenix, nice weather there. They're getting a little bit of winds, gusting up to 30, 40 miles per hour over here by, that's Kingman, Arizona. I've been there, just been through, said hi. Yeah, it looks like some gusty winds in parts of Southern California, at least down in, what are these places called? China Lake and Barstow. So out that way, a little windy. Nevada, my wife was telling me the same thing. Very windy. It looks like gusting up in the 50s, 50-mile-an-hour winds, some 40s here and there, but they're getting some rain showers too. Maybe a couple thunderstorm pops here, but mostly rain, it looks like. Same thing in California. It looks like they got a severe thunderstorm warning there by just north of, where's that? Near Madera Municipal Airport. It's kind of north west of Fresno. Some thunderstorms in that area. Yeah, so we got some thunderstorms moving through parts of California and otherwise some rain and rain showers. Yeah, another severe thunderstorm up here in Northern California, up near Orland. I think that's, yeah, so yeah, they're getting some misbehaving storms out there. I did see they had a marginal risk of severe out there, but it's probably because they're seeing that, so good call. And rain showers extending up to the north. A little bit coolish. We got some 40s and 50s where that rain's falling in Northern California and Southern Oregon. Yeah, even up here, Seattle's quite a bit cooler than it has been. Instead of 70s, it's 58. So they've gone back to their normal. Although it's not raining a lot up there. There's a few showers around, but at least they're not getting rained out. This isn't a real good pattern though. They don't have that direct flow off the ocean. They're kind of getting the northern end of this low pressure system. So yeah, so that's about it. Yeah. Um, I didn't mention up here, it's pretty warm, 70, upper 70s to 80 across the Dakotas and Montana, even 60s and 70s up in Minnesota. Yeah, look at that. Minot, North Dakota, 81. Yeah. Why not Minot? That's what they used to call they have a base there, Air Force Base, and it gets kind of really cold. I won't say any cuss words, but it gets, you know, beep 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 cold up there in the winter. Minus 20, minus 40, whatever. Especially back in the day. But I remember people would be like, "Why not Minot?" I actually volunteered to go there when I was in Korea, leaving Korea, but they didn't send me there. They sent me to Oklahoma. In fact, that was about a year after that bombing at that federal building. So I got to go see that about a year after it happened, and I knew some people that I know I'm kind of telling stories here, but hey, why not? So I knew a guy that lived they had these apartment buildings kind of across the way, across the street or a block or so over from the Murrah building, maybe 2 blocks, in these high-rise apartments, and he lived there when that bombing occurred. So yeah, that was pretty sad. So anyway, so yeah, hopefully that stuff like that never happens again because a lot of children died. Yeah, there's some. I hate to say it, but there's some sorry suckers out there that kill people for whatever crazy reasons. So we live in a sad world with some evil that goes on. But we'll just leave it at that. You all know what I'm talking about. All right, so yeah, we're back to the weather instead of that. I just wanted to share that with you. Um, some of my little bit of history. Yeah, even some winds up there in the Oregon, man, gusting up near 50 at what's that place called? Rome? Never even heard of it. Some little town up in the south east part of Oregon. So I guess it's a town. So yeah. All right, that's it for the observations. We'll get on to this and try to end this. I'm not going to show you that. That's the upper level pattern. Well, to save time. Whoops. I don't know what I'm doing here. Sorry. Here we go. We're going to our surface chart with our mean sea level pressure, which shows you where the fronts are, the cold fronts, the warm fronts. They even have what's called occluded fronts, but we don't really have any of those going on today, I don't think. And it shows you where there's surface troughs and precipitation and in the form of rain and snow on this chart. So the green would be rain. If you see like yellows, these darker, brighter colors, that just means there might be some heavier embedded rains in there, so maybe some moderate or heavy stuff. The blue, like you see out here, is light snow. You see this darker blue, that means there, might be some moderate to heavy snow over the Sierras there for this evening. So anyway, so yeah, so we got this low pressure offshore of Northern California area with all this rain and some mountain snow. Um, you can kind of see a couple speckles of those showers. The models don't pick up on that real well, but they're kind of hinting at it a little bit. And then you can see this here, this activity. It looks like, yeah, this is kind of now, but through the next 6 hours, it looks like it's going to be kind of weakening, might not be as much coverage. There still might be a few showers and storms out there. And then we got this system, this little weak, like cold front, I guess, if you want to call it that. I think it's more of an upper level trough, shortwave as we call them, for the technical term, shortwave trough, or or for you guys to understand, it's energy in the upper atmosphere kicking off these showers and storms and kind of more rain as you get back to the east over Pennsylvania and New York. So yeah, so that'll be kind of hanging through there for through about midnight tonight or so. And that's it, really. We got high pressure. That's why it's so nice out over the southeast here, and even Florida's getting the influence of this high pressure over off the coast of North Carolina. So that's what you're seeing there. And you see this. This is kind of a sign of things to come. They got a low kind of painted over Montana, and we've been seeing some winds kind of gust starting to develop out over the plains here. A little bit gusty winds. There was winds out here too. That's ahead of that little weak that disturbance there coming through the Midwest and Ohio Valley areas. So as we go through morning, this stuff will dip south a little bit into West Virginia, through central Illinois, southern Indiana, southern Ohio. A little bit of rain, maybe even mixed with some snow overnight up into Maine or Vermont there, and with some rain out here in parts of the Northeast. So, and then we'll see this kind of in the same general area, East Texas into parts of Louisiana there. So some showers and storms as we go into tomorrow. And this stuff will just kind of advance eastward a little bit through Idaho and Montana and Wyoming and farther into Nevada. It doesn't look like it's going to be a lot of moisture on the southern part here as we get into Wednesday, but a little bit out there. Maybe a few thunderstorms like we're seeing today. But we see this low is getting stronger. We call it deepening. Look at this. You get these lines are getting tightly packed. So that means the winds are going to start increasing on Wednesday, all through Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, all the way up into Dakotas and Minnesota, and even into parts of Texas and Oklahoma there. So yeah, and then we still got some lingering showers, maybe a few thunderstorms lingering on Wednesday afternoon from this area, from the Mid-Atlantic up through the Ohio Valley and into Illinois, parts of the Midwest still. Yeah, so same idea down here. So that's on Wednesday. And then you kind of see this low kind of, now they got two low pressures, one down here kind of near Oklahoma, Kansas border, and then one up into Canada. They're painting this farther north than they did yet the last couple of days. But we're going to see some showers and storms break out Thursday afternoon and evening from Iowa down south through Missouri, Kansas, maybe even parts of southeast Nebraska and Oklahoma, and maybe parts of Texas. It may get up into Minnesota and Wisconsin a little bit here by the look of things. I don't think they have the severe up there, but we'll take a look at that. So, yeah, that low pressure is going a little farther north. So, but we're still going to see some windy conditions around it, especially out ahead of it and on the backside. Looks like a little bit of snow, mainly for Montana. It may clip parts of western North Dakota, but then it kind of goes up into Canada. Still some lingering energy from that upper level system over the Rockies, the northern Rockies through the end of the week. So, and then this system here is just going to advance. We'll just go through Friday. So this system kind of moves out here. This is by Friday afternoon. It moves out through Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, parts of the Kentucky and Tennessee and southeast Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, even parts of Mississippi, and even like parts maybe northeast or east Texas may still see some ongoing storms. They're looking like at least some areas will see some severe thunderstorms on Friday. In fact, I think they're looking at it through the weekend, but I'm not going to cover that because it's just too much to cover in one video. So I don't like to overwhelm people with 50 days of forecasts, especially when it gets active. So looks like a little more active as we get into late in the week towards the weekend for the eastern half of the country, especially at least for severe thunderstorms. So that's about it. Let me show you the convective outlook. This is just for the rest of today. So yeah, they had a couple of those severe warnings out in California, so they got a marginal risk, a couple severe storms. Otherwise, thunderstorms out west, some out here they're showing, and then a couple areas out here in Texas and New Mexico and Louisiana. Those areas we saw, and this is with that other wave out through the Ohio Valley and parts of the Midwest. Looks like a little small area of marginal threat of severe up near, Chicagoland, northern parts of Indiana. So keep an eye on that. That's for the rest of tonight. Um, for tomorrow, they got a marginal risk from West Texas up through western Kansas. So this is basically what I call the high plains, western South Dakota, even kind of clipping parts of Wyoming there, in the western edge, and the western part of Nebraska. So some marginal. It looks like not a big tornado threat. It's a real low, but it looks like more of a wind and hail threat with those. So we might have some some dangerous, strong to severe storms popping up tomorrow along the what we call, that's usually what the dry line area is. Meteorological term. If you haven't heard about it, if you live out in the West Texas or those states, you know all about the dry line. So yeah, so they've kind of expanded the slight risk here from northern Oklahoma, Kansas. It touches Kansas City area, and then on to eastern Nebraska, a little bit of north or South Dakota, a little part of Minnesota and Iowa. And then this dark green is a marginal. So basically from Minnesota, parts of Wisconsin, all the way down south here, there's a threat of severe, just more better chances where it's yellow. So that's for Thursday, right? And then, yeah, whoops, I clicked on the wrong one. And then Friday, so we'll just show you this. So Friday, they're still looking at, the general northeast Texas, eastern Oklahoma, southern Missouri, around Springfield, Branson, parts of Little Rock, maybe touching Tulsa and Dallas Fort Worth area, parts of Arkansas, and even northwest Louisiana near Shreveport. So that's where the severe threat is for Friday. You can see Saturday and Sunday, same general areas. Yeah. So that goes through Monday too. Look at that. They're pretty confident in this stuff. So looks like a little active, especially a little farther south than it was the last week. So yeah, so something to look forward to. Is there anything to show you on the temperatures here? We're already at 22 minutes because I jabbered on. I'll just show you this real quick. So you kind of see the coolest weather's out west California along the coastal areas because of that system, and then up in the northeast. Wednesday, northeast, and then the Intermountain West, Great Basin gets a little bit cooler. Same Thursday, it kind of pushes eastward, starts to rebound out here on Thursday, and then we're still kind of coolish in the northeast. And then Friday, yeah, this cold air is over, starts moving into the northern plains, up into Minnesota, up in the northern Rockies, kind of coolish. And it starts warming up in Nevada and along the west coast here. Still coolish up here. They're kind of hanging on to the chilly weather up there through the end of the week. We'll just look at Friday. So that's your temperature outlook. Yeah. So if you want to see your specific area, you can pause it or slow it down on your area and kind of get a general idea of what the temperatures look like just looking at these images. So that's all I've got for today. I appreciate you all and all you guys subscribing and liking. Last I looked, we're at 51 subscribers. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate y'all. This is not just a weather channel. I'm trying to educate you all, make you more aware of weather. Instead of just looking at your apps, if you want to know more about weather, this is the place to be. We're not about, hyping it up and trying to get 10 million subscribers like some of the other channels that I see out there. And great for them, for doing that. But this is what I'm doing. My passion. I want to teach, help share my knowledge with others. And that's what this is all about here at Wixman Ray's Weather Channel. Anyways, Wixman Ray, calling it a night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow evening. Wixman Ray out.